Well, good evening, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of the Albino RHino Beer Review. Today you have the Rhino, you have Rhino Jr. from Get Your Drift On. Thank you very much, Don, for my Driftwood Rhino. He's fucking awesome. I love him. And you guys should get some stuff from Get Your Drift On, especially Driftwood Brewery. They really should get some stuff from Get Your Drift On. Anyway, today is the 1,000-pound cider review. We're going to look at I don't know, it's a cider sort of beery thing. This is from Central City. This is their Hopping Mad series. Hopping Mad is their cidery. This is their Hopping Mad Cider Radler. So Cider Radler is their Hopping Mad cider mixed with juice. So there you go, Cider Radler. This is 4.2% alcohol, 473 milliliters, so it's a little higher ABV than most Radlers. There is the bike here. Radlers were created, okay, so it gives you the story about the cyclers coming down on the German bar house. And yeah, I have empty growlers here before somebody says anything. I use them to keep the beer up so that you guys can see what I'm doing. Anyway, produced by Central City Brewers, Distillers, and Cider, Surrey, BC, Canada. Ingredients: apple cider, sugar, grapefruit juice, potassium sorbate, contains sulfites. Okay. So I did have this on BDU on Monday, and I said I was going to drink it cold this time to see if I liked it any better. It isn't cold per se, but it has been sitting on the cement floor, so it is cooler than it was when I drank it. I don't like the idea of extra sugar added. I don't like the idea that you had to back sweeten it at all or over sweeten it anyway, because a Radler should be in the 2 to 3% range anyway. So you didn't need to make a 4.2% Radler. But that's just me. What glass am I going to use? I'm going to use this one. Okay, so let's pop her open and pour her into the glass. Bang. Popped open. Bang. Poured. I'm just going to pour it here for now, and then we'll pour some more in a bit. Basically, it just lets me smell in this cup better. So, there is the Hopping Mad Cider Radler. There it is there. It had big, bright white head. Very hazy. Cannot see my hand through it at all. It basically looks like grapefruit juice. Smell. See, it smells so promising. It really does. I mean, out of the glass at least, I'm getting grapefruit juice. I'm getting big, bad grapefruit juice, Oasis grapefruit juice at that. And I only know Oasis grapefruit juice because I use it quite often at work. It's what we use now. We originally used a different brand. This does not smell like the different brand. This smells like the Oasis. The different brand was Fairly, I believe. Now, out of the can, it's basically the same thing. It's like Oasis grapefruit juice with a little bit of condom and a little bit of apple, green apple. Yeah, I pick up the sulfites on here. It smells kind of like a grapefruit apple flavored condom. I don't like that. So let's top her up now. Here's the thing, right? A lot of commercial cideries use sulfites. I think basically almost all commercial cideries use sulfites. I'm not a big fan of sulfites. I'm very, very sensitive to them. Even if you don't put it on there, I still pick it up. When I tried a Grow A Pair from Double Trouble, I went back and I'm like, do you guys have sulfites in this? Because they just poured it for me, and they're like, I don't know, let me read the ingredients. Oh yeah, there is sulfites in that. Okay, because I could taste them. And that's the thing, I do not like the taste of sulfites. It's a latex rubber flavor for me, which is why a lot of times it will smell like condoms. But you don't it's a stabilizing and preserving agent. That's what it is in ciders and all that. It keeps the cider together better. It's used well, a lot of things like potassium sorbate and different sulfites and all that are used to keep the flavors of citrus and everything else together, and fruit juices, and it keeps it together longer. It keeps it good longer. But for the most part, ciders are in a can. They're going to last longer to begin with. Most ciders are canned, not bottled. There are some that are bottled, so they last longer to begin with. And things like Brickworks. Brickworks does not use sulfites. They might start using sulfites now that they've been bought out, but they never did. And that's one of the reasons I loved them so much. And I mean, you get to that point. You're like, what would make this what would make this cidery not use sulfites? Could they try to not use sulfites once just to see how long the batch lasts? If your cider's good enough, like, I can understand using sulfites if your cidery is out of the way and people actually have to come to you to get the cidery. There's a lot of cideries like that. A lot of cideries like that where they're just little wineries and you have to visit them to get it. But if you're a cidery that's in the LCBO and all that, you should be able to move fast enough that you do not need them. But that's my personal opinion. Let's try the Cider Radler. Cheers. Very light. Very light. Light-bodied, light carbonation. The apple taste. Slightly sour, slightly dry. Really, not sweet. And I mean, apple cider you'd expect to be sweet, but this is like a tart dry cider. There is a tiny touch of sweetness right near the end, but it's coming from like white grapefruit juice. For those of you that drink white grapefruit juice often, you know it's very tart, but it does have that tiny touch of sweetness. And that's what I'm getting out of this. I'm not talking about you made it yourself at home. I'm talking about you bought store-bought white grapefruit juice. So, a little bit of sweetness, nice tartness at the background, nice tartness and dryness at the forefront. That tartness at the background, that grapefruit taste at the background is mixing with condom. With rubbing alcohol, not rubbing alcohol, sorry, silicone rubber. Latex rubber, I meant. I don't know why I said silicone. I do apologize for that. Yeah. So, tart and dry at the forefront. Tart, slightly sweet at the end. With that latex rubber taste, that condom taste mixing with the sweetness. Now, it's not like, oh my god, I'm licking a condom like when we did the county cider. It's just there in the background. Now, there are people that are not sensitive to sulfites. And my sensitivity to sulfites might be why I dislike wine so much, because there's sulfites in a lot of wine. But that's probably the reason I dislike wine as much as I do. However, what I'm saying is, if you are a huge wine drinker and you don't taste anything sulfite-wise, this might be what you want. This might be good for you. You might not taste it at all. Again, if I wasn't as sensitive to sulfites as I am, I probably wouldn't pick this up, because it's not as in your face as it is in a lot of other ciders. There are a lot of ciders that use sulfites that I don't taste it at all, or I don't smell it at all. This one I do smell it, I do taste it, but it's so subtle that it doesn't really affect my score as much as it could. I just don't particularly like the mix of it all together. A lot of Radlers I've had are on the sweeter side, some of them are on the tartar side, but most of them are the juice. And when I do a cider mixed with Radler, I do a cider Radler, I expect more of that sweet or tart juice. And this seems to be at the same level as the beers, if not weaker than the beers in that genre. Out of 10 on this, I would give it a 5.75. I could drink it again. I have no real problem with it. I just don't see myself ever buying it again in my adult life, unless I'm sending it to somebody that can't get it and they want to try it. So, yeah, 5.75 out of 10 for me. I do love a lot of Central City beers, and and stuff like that, but this just isn't really my thing. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye. I gotta hit the stop button. Let's see if it goes on the first try.